Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another tutorial. In today's video I'll be showing you guys how to draft this overlapped asymmetrical v-necked top. If this sounds good to you and it's something you're interested in, then please keep watching. And if you're coming across my page for the very first time, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button, share my video and give me a giant thumbs up. With that being said, let's get right into this video. So we are going to be starting with the front body. So I have my pattern paper here folded in two, as you can see. Now from the top of the paper, I'm just going to be measuring half an inch downwards like so. I'm going to be using that as the starting point, as the shoulder line. And then after doing that, I'm just going to bring my ruler, as you can see, and I'll just draw a line tracing the half an inch that I drew. That will serve as my shoulder line or the starting point. I will also be using marker to highlight it. So that's the shoulder line right there. Now the next thing we are going to be doing is to measure down from the shoulder line to my bust point, which is 11 inches. So you measure your shoulder to bust points. So mine is 11 inches, so I'm going to be marking that across, and then I'll use my pencil to connect these points together like so. Then also use marker to redraw the line for better visibility. So I'm just going to label that as the bust point. The next thing is to measure from my shoulder to waistline, which is 17 inches from shoulder. So that's just what I'm marking right there. I'll also be connecting these points together with my pencil first, and then I'll go ahead and also use marker, as you can see. Now from the waistline, I'm going to be coming down 10 inches, as you can see. That will serve as my hip line and also the hem line, or the length of this blouse, which will be 27 in total from the shoulder line. Now it depends on the length you want. You can make yours longer than that or shorter, depends on what you want. So I'm just going to be connecting with my pencil first and then with my marker, and then I'll just go ahead and label that as the hip line or the hem line. Now on the waistline, you can decide to have a waist dart on that waistline, but for me, I'm just going to be leaving it like this, so no waist dart for this outfit. Okay, now for the neckline, I'm going to be going out by 3.5 inches for the width, and I'll also be coming down 3.5 inches for the depth. We are using this measurement as a standard. We are still going to be modifying the neckline along the way. Now for the shoulder, I'm going out by 8 inches for half of my shoulder measurement, so I'm marking 8 inches right there. Now I'm going to be extending the sleeve of this blouse. Remember, it's going to be a cut together sleeve, so I'm extending it from that 8 inches mark by another 8 inches. You can make yours longer than that if you want, depending on your preference. So I came out by another 8 inches right there, as you can see, which will serve as the length of the sleeve, the cut together sleeve. Now from that point, I'm going to be going down by 1 inch, which will serve as the shoulder slope. So I came down 1 inch right there, and then I'm going to be connecting my neck measurement with my curved ruler, as you can see. And then I'll be connecting from the eye shoulder point to the shoulder slope, as you can see. Now for the width of the sleeves, I'm just going to come down by 10 inches from the shoulder slope, as you can see. That is how wide I want the sleeves to be. Depending on what you want, actually, you can just determine what you want. But I came down 10 inches and I connected those 2 points together like so. Now the next thing that I want to do is go over to the waistline, divide my waist circumference into 4 and place what I have on the waistline, as you can see. I will also be repeating the same process for the hip line. Place my hip circumference divided by 4 on the hip line right there. So the next thing to do is to connect from the waistline to the sleeve, as you can see, in a curved way. Make sure that it is curved like this. You can use your free hand for that. It's quite easy using free hand. So that is that. Now on the hip line, I'm going to be adding an extra 2 inches to give it an A-line look. Now this is optional, but I came out 2 inches from the hip line like so. And after doing that, I'm just going to be connecting from that point to the waistline to complete the side seam of this outfit. On the hip line, I'm going up by 1 inch, as you can see. From that point, I will connect straight to center front like so. Then I will use my marker to further highlight all the lines that I've previously drawn. I'm going to leave the hem line unmarked for now, and then I'm just going to be using marker to retrace that line from the waist all the way to the sleeve, as you can see. And since this pattern paper is folded in two, I'm going to be tracing all the necessary points on this paper so it can appear at the other side of the paper, and then we can have a full scale pattern or a full scale measurement on this outfit. So I'm just going to be tracing everything here, as you can see, the hemline, everything necessary here. You trace it out on the other paper, and then I'll just open up this paper so we can have it on a full scale like so. So I'm just going to remark the waistline, and then I discovered that I had not traced the line connecting the waist to the underarm or the sleeve. So I folded back the paper and then retraced this line. Then I opened back the paper to draw the other part on the other side, as you can see. So I'm just going to be using pencil first before going ahead to redraw with my marker for better visibility. Just watch what I'm doing. It's just basically the same thing that I'm doing on the other side of the paper to have a full scale measurement. So this is just me using marker to remark all the lines that I drew before with pencil for better visibility. I'm just connecting from the sleeve to the waistline, from the waistline to the hip line, as you can see. Then I completed the waistline, and I'm also going to be marking the center line or the grain line. As you can see, it's very important you mark that. So for the overlap, since it starts from the waistline, I'm going to be going out by about 3 inches from the waistline for the overlap. You can come out by 3.5 inches or 4 inches depending on how folded or how overlapped you want it to be. So I'm just going to be marking the 3 inches all the way to the hem line like so. Now for the asymmetrical extension at the hem line, I'm going to be going down by 3 inches from the center front line, as you can see, and I'll be connecting from that point back to the center front line. That is the length I want for the extension at the hem line. Now I'm just cross checking that I have the 3 inches right there. Then I'll also be extending 3 inches outwards for the overlap. And then I'm just going to be using my pencil to connect the overlap, as you can see, down to the extension at the hem line. Then I'll use marker for better visibility so you can see what we are doing here. After I'm done doing that, the next thing is to connect to the neckline, and from the neckline I'm just going to modify it by going out by half an inch. From that point, I want it to be a little bit wider than the 3.5 inches that we measured before. So from that new point, I'm just going to be connecting to the break point, or where the overlap is starting from, or where the extension is starting from on the waistline. And then I'm going to be connecting from the new extension right there to the side seam, to the hem line at the side seam, as you can see, first with my pencil, and then I'll use marker for better visibility as usual. And then over here is where your button is going to appear. The next thing to do is to connect from this hem line right here to the center front line for this other side that does not have the asymmetrical extension. So I'm just going to be connecting like so with my pencil first, and then I'll go ahead and also use marker. So that is going to be the hem line for this other part of the blouse. Okay. So I'm going to be folding back this paper so we can trace out the back pattern using this same pattern. So on the neckline right there, I'm just going to come down by 2 inches for the depth. We are using the same width for the neckline, so I came down 2 inches right there. And then remember, we came out half an inch for the modification of the neckline for the front. So I'm repeating the same thing here. I came out by half an inch so that the neckline can correspond, and I'm going to be connecting it using my curved ruler like so. Now after doing that, I'm just going to be tracing this on another fresh paper to produce the back pattern. So I'm placing another paper underneath this paper right here. So the pattern paper that I'm using for the back is on fold. You can use a single paper if you want, and then you can just cut on fabric. So I'm using a paper that is on fold for the back pattern. So I'm placing the front pattern on this fresh paper underneath and making sure that everything aligns together. And after I'm satisfied with that, I'm just going to go ahead and trace out the neckline, trace out the shoulder slope, the sleeve, the waistline, the hip line, the hem line, and every other thing that is necessary to be traced. Now after I was done tracing, I'm just going to remove the front pattern, as you can see, and then I'll take my scissors and use the trace line as reference to go ahead and cut this back pattern out, just like you're seeing me do here. So like I said, I cut this pattern paper for the back on fold, meaning that if I open this paper up, I'm going to be having it on a full scale measurement. So now I'm just going to label this as the back pattern, and then we'll go over to the front and cut out the other side of the front bodice. So after opening up the paper, what I'm going to do is to transfer the hem line of this side to the other side, as you can see. So I'm just transferring the hem line over there for tracing later. You understand later why I'm doing that. Now after I'm done, I'll just cut this other side of the pattern out like so. So this even hemline that is not asymmetrical is what we are going to be tracing on a fresh pattern paper when we are cutting the other side of this blouse. Just watch what I'm doing. So I'm going to bring forth another pattern paper. As you can see, I'll place this pattern on it. I'll hold it in place, and then I'll be tracing this hemline, this straight hemline. I will trace it out on that paper. That is what's going to serve as a hemline for the other part of this blouse. Then after tracing it, I'll just go ahead and cut the rest of this pattern out. Now I'm going to lift up this front pattern so I can cut the traced hemline on this new pattern paper. As you can see, this hemline is straight and not asymmetrical as the white pattern paper. So I'm just going to complete the cutting like so, and after doing that, I'll also go ahead and note where the center front line meets the neckline like so. You can note it with your pencil or your marker, and also where the buttonhole is going to be. For the sake of clarity and visibility, I'm going to be recutting this brown paper on another white pattern paper for better visibility and understanding. So I already went ahead to cut on a white pattern paper. This is it. So this is the other side of the pattern, the front pattern. So I'm going to be placing them side by side so you guys can see what we have here. So I just replicated that brown paper on this white paper for the other side. Okay, now I'm just going to be using my pencil to mark out the 3 inches of overlap that I have on this side as well. It can help you to place these patterns properly. So that's just what I'm doing. I'm just using this to mark where the buttonhole is and where the center front meets the neckline that we marked previously on the other side of the paper. I'm just replicating it on this new pattern paper. So after doing that, I'm just going to be rearranging this pattern so you guys can see how it looks. So this is how it's going to be when you rearrange it on top of one another, using the center front line as reference. You can see how it looks. So you can just go ahead and add your sewing allowances all around your pattern paper. You can also cut your lining so you know how you're going to be joining it together. You can also make the extension longer than 3 inches, like I said before, depending on your preference. You can also add your overlap by more than 3 inches. Everything depends on your preference. For the back pattern, I cut it on fold. You can cut yours on a single paper, so you'll be having 2 pieces for your back, then you'll be joining it back at the center back, but I cut mine into just one piece. The back is closed, so that depends on just what you want. You can go ahead and add your sewing allowances all around your pattern paper. And on that note, guys, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. Thank you so very much for watching to the end. If you found my video helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up, and don't forget to share my video to your friends. And if you are coming across my page for the very first time, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell to get notified whenever I upload new videos. So till I see you in my next one, guys, bye.